It's time for Screen Junkies Movie Fights.
Do you guys want to see a big old movie fight battle royale?
Was that a yes?
All right, so what we have here, we have 12 movie fighters backstage ready to go to war for you guys tonight. They will compete in one-on-one fights to earn a spot in two three-person semifinals, and then out of 12, somehow we're gonna whittle it down to 2 movie fight survivors, and then we will find one movie fighter to rule them all. Roxy, you wanna get this started with movie fight number 1?
Yes, I do.
All right.
He's coming in. You guys know him from SJU. He's also on the Nerd Goat podcast. It is Ed GREER!
Oh, and also know this gentleman from Comedy Central as well.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. And this man needs no introduction, so we're not going to give him one. Dan Murrell! Oh, yeah!
It literally just says he's Dan on this piece of paper. That's the only thing we need to know.
Yeah, everyone else has credits listed. Dan Murrell, yes. Reigning movie fights champion. Decorated showdown fighter, etc. All right, so this first question, it's a doozy, like right out the gate. This is a good one. Roxy, what's this first question?
Here we go. A little controversial. What is the best Batman movie?
All right, Ed, let's hear your answer first.
Mine is, as always, controversial. Batman Begins. That's my favorite.
Ed's going Batman Begins, the first Nolan movie. Dan?
I mean, I picked The Dark Knight. You have to.
All right. Batman Begins versus The Dark Knight. Gentlemen, jump into the fun.
All right, Dan, come on, throw out something. You're smart. Go.
Oh, you want me to go first?
Well, this is my thing. Your thing is built on my thing. And if I remember correctly, last year I lost because I had a movie that was built on your thing.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I got a list of grievances. We can go talk about it. No, but Dan, you're one of my best friends and a very good fighter. So to say your thing about how The Dark Knight is really cool because it's very serious and there's a courtroom drama about, Harvey Dent having to let all the bums out of jail because he's turned into the Two-Face, which isn't true. That's not how the legal system works. They weren't all just gonna flood out of Arkham onto the streets if he got found out as Two-Face. So the whole plot is based on a dumb lie. What is he, an Iraqi war veteran? This is terrible.
Those are some real Mountain Dew comments.
Nice.
First of all, I don't think The Dark Knight is built completely on Batman Begins. As a matter of fact, I think Batman Begins is built on the Batman mythos to its detriment. I think The Dark Knight you could watch without having ever seen Batman Begins, and it works on its own 100%. I also have a big problem with your movie as a Batman movie, and that's what it is best Batman movie. I don't like the end. I don't like the line, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you. You're Batman. That's what you do. And The Dark Knight did it much better when he had the chance to kill the Joker, and it is such a Batman move to know, as he said, we're destined to do this forever, but the thing that separates Batman from everyone else is that one thing he won't do, and he does it in Batman Begins, and I have a problem with that as a Batman fan.
You know what? Hey, I definitely see that point, but I will say there's more Batman mythos in the little finger of Batman Begins than your movie. In the first 6 minutes, you meet Henry Ducard and basically Ra's al Ghul. So you get people who train Batman. He wakes up in a prison because he got such a hard-on for crime, he goes to where the prisoners are and beats their ass. So in just one moment, you get to see how Batman prepared for this. In your movie, he shows up in a bank, walking past a bunch of cops, I guess. They just saw Batman walk past all of them smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee. That sucks.
No one sees the Batman enter or exit a building. That's why he's the Batman.
He crawled through the ducks with John McClane. Whatever, that's dumb. I'm just saying, when you look at the movie, it is built on a fallacy, which is him having to give up something or take blamed for a crime at the end of that movie. Because if you look at the plot, what he's trying to do is take Harvey Dent's woman and leave Harvey Dent with all the crime fighting in the city. That's a stupid plan. What's he gonna do when Joker poisons the reservoir? What's he gonna do from his legal chair? I don't think I'll put a writ. That doesn't, so Batman's plan, Bruce Wayne's plan in the movie, is to steal Harvey Dent's woman and leave him with all the crime fighting duties because he's as good as Batman. That makes no sense.
That makes absolute sense. Bruce Wayne isn't Batman because he wants to be. Bruce Wayne is Batman because he has to be. And the reason that he was going to give the crime fighting over to Harvey Dent is because Harvey Dent was the only person other than him in Gotham City who he believed could actually get the job done. That's why it says, I believe in Harvey Dent. Batman did believe in Harvey Dent, and he didn't want to be the Batman. That's what makes him a great character. He's the Batman because he has to be the Batman, and the tragedy of that movie is that he loses both the woman he loves and the person in the city, the only person that could live up to his mantle, and that's why he takes the blame, because if you take that away from the city, they descend into chaos. Batman is the hero Gotham needs.
Anybody could do tragedy. You put a bunch of cats in a sack, you throw it on a railroad track. Tragedy's easy. Building a world is hard. Building a world is hard.
You know what else is hard? Movie fighting. Gentlemen, we're going to go into some final thoughts. We'll start with Ed. Go ahead and put a cherry on the sundae.
You know what? Private Joker, I feel like I was born to lose. But what I'm saying is that this movie, Batman Begins, brought Batman back from the ashes, guys. You don't have your Dark Knight to love on so much. The continuous blow that movie's gotten for 10 years is so weird, and nobody talks about how it's built in the skeleton of my movie. My movie let out all those rules. My movie said that Lucius Fox gave him all the dope toys. My movie states that he's a scion of the city, an integral part of the city. Wayne is at the heart of the city. My movie is the one that shows you that Bruce Wayne is a real character. Batman isn't the mask Bruce Wayne wears. Batman is the fantasy of a boy who goes to Thailand to learn Muay Thai and beat people up and goes to prison. You know what I mean? It's a weird fantasy. So Batman Begins shows that. Batman Begins brought this thing from the ashes. I'm sorry. The Schumacher ashes.
You're right. World building is hard, but the fact is that all that world building was already done. Yours is basically an adaptation of the Batman mythos. What did The Dark Knight do? They took that adaptation with Batman Begins, which I enjoy. I think it's a good Batman origin story. And they took that and went into completely new direction with it. They modernized Batman, they made him more relevant, they made him more current, they gave him more to do. It's not just how did this guy get put on a mask and become I'm Batman. We know about Ra's al Ghul, we know about training and being a ninja. That's all already built into the Batman mythos, and Batman Begins leans way too heavily into it.
We hadn't seen it. That's all I gotta say. We hadn't seen it.
You've seen it in the comic books for 70 years. What The Dark Knight did was take the building blocks of Batman Begins, which was a pretty good foundation, and build a skyscraper out of it to the point that we have not yet seen that Batman-Joker dynamic tackled in over a decade again in a movie, and I don't know when we're going to because that movie defined it so well, along with the definition of Batman, who he is and what he means to Gotham City.
Let's hear it for both of these movie fighters. Also, can we have a round of applause for our sign language interpreter right there? All right, now it's time to vote. This is very difficult because these are two great movies and two great arguments. So everybody has a card with a white side and a red side. So you're going to show the white side if you believe Ed with Batman Begins won, the red side if it's Dan, the Dark Knight.
Red.
You know what?
Looks kind of red to me.
This is very hard. Roxy, decide.
I have to be honest. I feel like it's a little more white over here, a little more red over here, but in the middle we got more red. I think we have to go with Dan Murrell on this one.
Dan Murrell, we'll see you in the semifinals. Ed GREER, always
born to lose, but I love you.
Check out Ed GREER, Comedy Central on the New Negroes. Thank you, thank you, Ed GREER. Roxy, fight number 2. He is the managing editor of Fandom. He's a writer for fandom.com, and he knows a lot about a lot of cool stuff. Eric Goldman.
She is also a writer at fandom.com, and she's the entertainment editor of Fandom. It's Kim Taylor Foster.
Okay, this next question. Oh, it takes me back. Please, but by the way, can we have some applause if you were alive in the 1980s? All right, 1980s represent. Here is the question.
I'm drinking this for the
It's a toughie.
It's mine.
What is the best movie of the 1980s? Woo! Oh, you all got answers in your heads, but the real answers are about to come right now. Eric, what do you got?
This is a great question. In fact, when I heard this question, I thought, this is heavy, and I thought it has to be Back to the Freaking Future, which is not only best 80s movie, just one of the best movies ever. I recently talked about this movie on SJU. You might have seen me talking about it. Just how I think this is such a perfectly constructed movie. Everything about the story, the fact that it combines sci-fi and comedy, and it's a family story. All these things rolled together that I think it does so well. And then also it's about this kid from the 1980s, and we see his life in the 80s and how it sort of connects to the 50s and his parents there. I think there's so much about this movie that both represents what the 1980s were and what we see the McFlys and what their family life and values are, how things had changed at the time. So there's a great story there about that transition and what the 80s were, and then it's wrapped in just one of the greatest stories ever, I think, with some of the most popular and relatable characters that we've ever seen in movies. So that is why Back to the Future is the best 1980s movie.
Kim, what do you have?
Well, it's a great film. It's a favorite of a lot of people, but it is not The Breakfast Club. Now, when you think about the 80s and you think about the best movies, you think about what defines the era, and it's John Hughes. And The Breakfast Club is his best film, and it is also the quintessential Brat Pack movie. It gives us Judd Nelson, it gives us Molly Ringwald, it gives us Emilio Estevez, Anthony Michael Hall, and Ali Sheedy acting their socks off. The Breakfast Club is not only a great movie and a time capsule, but it deals with themes that exist beyond the era, that are still relevant today. In that, I have not lost my thread, I promise you.
All right, cut it out, you guys.
I'm scared.
It gave us the term, I've written this down, Neo-Maxi Zoom Dweeby. Spoken by Judd Nelson.
Yep.
It's about kids being put into a box, being forced into roles that society demands of them, and trying to break out. And that's still relevant today. It's about celebrating differences, but also celebrating unity. And that's more relevant than ever.
Now, Breakfast Club is a great movie, and I love me some Ringwald, and John Hughes is great, but it's such a specific movie, and it's like Back to the Future has everything. If you want to see 80s kids in high school, you get that in Back to the Future. You get to see what an 80s kid in high school would be like if you went to the 1950s. So you get to see that transition as well. There are great quotes, of course, in Breakfast Club, but I feel like every line in Back to the Future is a memorable line. And then, yes, the themes about teenagers and trying to fit in, I think that Back to the Future also does that, but in a very intriguing way by showing you these kids, a kid from the 80s kind of having to understand what his parents went through, and that some of the same situations he's having, they went through too. The generation thing in Breakfast Club is only confrontational, as far as this battle with the principal. We have an angry principal in Back to the Future too, but we also have the sympathetic parent characters who we get to learn the whole different perspective on. So I just feel like Back to the Future has all those elements. It has the high school thing. It has like these themes about, you know, the different groups, but it's telling this whole bigger story where Breakfast Club is a much more contained film.
Kim, your final thoughts.
Breakfast Club teaches us more than life preservers are cool. It teaches us more than your mum fancying you is gross. That's about all we learn from Back to the Future. I love Back to the Future. It's one of my favorite movies, but it is not the best film of the 80s.
Breakfast Club.
Eric, your closing statement.
You know, Breakfast Club is great. However, it is a movie sort of only of its time. Like, it is a great 80s movie, but of course, at the same time, there's a lot of elements that are problematic. Even Molly Ringwald talks about that. The main actress says there's some problems with this movie now. Whereas Back to the Future is a great movie of its time, but it's a great movie about time itself. And so it transposes all that. So you know, it's a great relic of the 80s. You can watch Back to the Future, and he's talking about Pepsi Free and things we don't have anymore. But it is also a movie that, you know, so many people, like, I think if people watch Breakfast Club, they can only sort of be like, oh, that's what it was like in the 80s. Or Back to the Future, you can watch it and completely get immersed into this time travel story that shows you the juxtaposition. It doesn't matter if you were born 5 years ago or 15 years ago or 50 years ago, you can still completely connect to this sort of amazing story being told. And that's why Back to the Future is the best movie of the 80s. And just maybe ever.
All right, let's hear it for both of them, you guys. What a flashback to a simpler time, the 1980s. Roxy, let them know how to vote.
All right, guys, if you're going for Eric, we're going to see some red, and if you want Kim, let's do some white. Red for Eric, white for Kim. What do you think?
It's looking like we're going back to the future! Eric, got it. Kim, well fought, Kim, well fought. And on this panel, we have a burnout, a dweeb, a jock.
That's right.
We're all represented. All right.
We can all write that letter.
Right.
I think we're all just
You guys know that from the amazing show, Flash and Friends, bring it back, everybody. Also, from Honest Trailers and writer-producer of Fandom, it is
And she is our mother of dragons and our own personal Sarah Connor, leading us to safety, ROth CORNET!
Best intro
This next question, I mean,
Check.
is the epitome of a Sophie's choice. Roxy, lay it on us.
I'm a little nervous. Guys, who is better, Patrick Swayze or Kurt Russell?
Beautiful mullets. It's all in the reflexes.
We got our very own.
Are you serious?
Kurt Russell!
Yes! Yes!
We're honored to be praised for this
I'm a big fan, sir.
Oh, there's big trouble in room 6A at Comic-Con. All right.
I rest my case.
Thank you so much. Give a round of applause, everybody.
Not a single Dalton in the crowd.
Once again, yeah.
All right.
Been so
Here we
good.
go, Joe. We're going to start with you. Tell us what you have picked today.
Well, I'm obviously arguing for Patrick Swayze. There's only so far that having really good hair and so amount of talent can get you in this town.
Joe, stop putting yourself down.
Oh, stop it, Roth. Red Dawn. Ghost. Ghost. Dirty Dancing. A brief and small role in Dirty Dancing Havana Nights.
Important role.
Albeit an important role. F***ing Roadhouse. Patrick Swayze was a genre-jumping, mullet-having, throat-ripping son of a f***ing gun. He is the better actor,
Whoa.
the more loving heart, and the bigger icon. Patrick Swayze.
Golden Globe winning Kurt Russell begs to frickin' differ, buddy. First of all, you just named movies. I can name movies too, but I can also name characters, and I think that's what's important here. McCready, Jack Burton, frickin' Snake Plissken. This is the man. This is a man who, frankly, I have to stop for a second and I'll tell you why. This is a man who genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I love. You don't understand how I feel about one Kurt Russell, the granddaddy of all daddies. He is, to me, the epitome of what every action hero should be. But he also, as for aforementioned, won a Golden Globe for Silkwood because he's an actor. He was in The Thing, ladies and gentlemen. He reinvented horror. He is an everyman who is full of charm and grace, and this hair is the only hair that could possibly compete with one Mr. Kurt Russell.
I appreciate that. Roth, let me ask you a question. When it came time to clean up our YouTube community a little bit, did we quote a line from Jack Burton to teach our audience how to behave in our comment section? No. We turned to Dalton. Be nice! Until it's time to not be nice. And that time is now, because you know what old Patrick Swayze says at a time like this?
No, but he's quoting Jack Burton.
He doesn't say
When he
anything.
says,
He
"You
just
know what
rips
old
throats
Patrick
and
Swayze
does
said."
Tai Chi by a lake. And he does more with that one Tai Chi scene than Snake Plissken does in 2 movies.
You are talking about a man who went from being a Disney kid to an icon of icons who continues to be. He's in Once Upon in Hollywood tomorrow. And he's going toe-to-toe with the biggest stars of today. But you know what? We're fandom. And I'm a fan of Kurt Russell. I think you can tell. I mean this. I am legitimately moved by Kurt Russell. Every fiber of my being wants to be Kurt Russell.
Look, Roth, I get it.
just
He's
wanted
a
to
handsome
let
guy.
the thing crawl out of me so that I then morph into a Lady Kurt Russell.
I get
and
it.
take over the universe,
I
ladies
get it.
and
I
gentlemen.
too want to have sex with actors who hide behind John Carpenter. But Patrick Swayze is not just an actor. He is a songwriter. He is a singer. He gave us one of the best SNL sketches of all time with the Chippendales with Chris Farley.
Final thoughts.
Here's my final thought. I can't do this on my own. And as Kurt Russell has taught us, we need to do this together. So you know what I do, Joe Starr? I demand a trial by combat. And my final thoughts are going to come from Mr. Kurt Russell himself. I would like Kurt Russell to come up here
I have to
and speak.
fight a cosplayer?
That's right. Because I don't see a Patrick freaking Swayze cosplayer up in the house.
A random cosplay. Today, in 6 days, Joe Starr will not fight a random cosplay.
Kurt Russell, that is a cosplayer that is cosplaying from 1980s Kurt Russell, right? But he could be cosplaying from 1970s, 1990s, or right now, Ego from the greatest franchise that Marvel has ever brought us. That's a different movie fight that we will do later, Joe, with you and your hair. Guardians of the Galaxy. Kurt Russell is not only an iconic actor, he is an actor that has traversed genre. Talk about genre traversing. Westerns, Disney, kids, sci-fi. He has done rom-com and he is a great action hero. Why? Because he is full of joy. Every ounce of his being is bringing you joy, and he's asking you, bring him joy back today, ladies and gentlemen. He's asking you, look at him. He's asking you.
Joe Starr, final thoughts, please.
I get one? So you're saying he didn't just hide behind Carpenter, he was a product of the Disney machine.
Oh.
Kurt Russell is a man who was given every silver spoon, but not Swayze. Patrick Swayze crawled himself up, Tai Chi move by Tai Chi move, slow-moving palm-bill strike to repulse monkey by a beautiful lake. He saved that town. He saved that bar.
Are you mixing
I just want to go home with a guy that smells like an expensive booze and not just like really cheap Pall Mall cigarettes and like Natty Light. I mean, I get it's just a question of taste, and I respect your bad taste, Roth, but to sum up Patrick Swayze in the film Donnie Darko, love. And that's it.
Yeah. Vote for love. Or vote for hair. I know the hair is very attractive, though.
Joe Swayze, you are going to go white. If you are Roth,
Very white.
Russell, you're going red.
Ooh.
That was kind of close ones. Oh, I'm hearing that it is red.
But Joe still wins.
Roth CORNET.
You gotta keep doing it.
All right,
Patrick
so
Swayze.
we have 3 semifinalists here, and we are jumping into a blind fight. Blind fight, blind fight, blind fight.
Ay, ay, ay.
Trial by combat, trial by combat.
We already had a fight.
All right, so I'm gonna I'll pass out the answers, and then once everyone has theirs, Roxy, would you please read the question?
Yes, this is a question that they do not know right now. They do not know what they will be fighting.
Me
Thank
too.
you.
All right.
He's the best.
Dan has his, Eric has his, Roth is grabbing hers.
All right.
And the question is, what is the best sequel of all time? The best sequel.
All right. Let's go down the line and just hear the answer from each person, starting with Dan.
A classic in the musical genre. Blues Brothers 2000, baby.
Yes, of course.
Be still my heart.
Let's go next with Eric. What do you have?
We all love Keanu, and here was a sequel that didn't even need Keanu because it was Speed 2, Cruise Control. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the one on the boat.
With all of the passion, Roth, let's hear it.
Can I do a trial by combat now?
No, we decided against that.
This is a movie that asks us the question, what if there were more dinosaurs? It is Jurassic Park 3, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
All right, we've got all the wonderful answers. Let's just jump into it. Start fighting it out.
I have a cast packed to the brim with living legends. I have the great John Goodman. John Goodman singing and dancing, doing something no one thought was possible, which was stepping in for John Belushi. Filling that role with Dan Aykroyd, you have the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, you have Johnny Lang, you got the blues superstars of the early 21st century, all lined up in one movie. What more do you want? What more do we need as a civilization? Are we not entertained?
America's sweetheart, Sandra Bullock, returns to her defining role. She's joined by America's lost boy, Jason Patric, but against the greatest villain ever, Willem Dafoe. But not just Willem Dafoe, he's got leeches. He's got a freaking boat. You add that all together, you got Speed 2, and you got Cruise Control. It is unmatched in action movie history. Everything's better on a boat. Ask The Lonely Island.
Okay.
I rest my case.
Talk about a cast from Mount Olympus, okay? William H. Macy, 90s icon Téa Leoni of Bad Boys, if you'll recall, and a talking raptor, okay? This is a movie that dares to say, what if a raptor talked? And then they do it, okay? This is a movie that is bold in its audacity to reimagine dinosaurs.
I take offense. That movie is a one Allen pony. And I will not allow that talking raptor to be weaponized against me.
Oh,
We all know that Jurassic Park 3 is notable for only one thing, and that is a talking raptor. It's its only asset. It's a waste of talent for everyone involved.
Dan,
Laura Dern literally had to phone her role in. She couldn't be bothered to go to the jungle to shoot in the jungle for free. Laura Dern, America's treasure, turned down a free jungle vacation to avoid being in Jurassic Park 3. That's how bad it was.
Dan Murrell, you act as if the movie needs more than a talking raptor, and I just don't concede that point, ladies and gentlemen. All it ever needed was the talking raptor. And not only that, Mr. Murrell, I'm going to challenge you on Blues Brothers 2000.
Please do.
And the only reason is because you're talking about one of the greatest comedies of all time in the Blues Brothers being undercut and undermined, bastardized, betrayed. It's a betrayal, isn't it? You feel it. You feel it. It actually causes pain. I think there was a rip in the universe. And you know what happened? Jurassic Park came in and said, we will heal you.
Dan, go ahead.
You're so tired.
I'm so tired.
I don't care to do anything to diminish the cinematic legacy of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. I think we needed more Aretha Franklin, not less, in the fabric of film. And John Goodman as well. As a matter of fact, I think it's a terrible thing to look at anyone in that movie and say I would prefer if there were less of them. It's not a bastardization, it's a celebration of the Blues Brothers, of music, of life, of humanity. Speed 2, you're on a boat. Come on. The Lonely Island, things weren't cool on a boat until the Lonely Island made them cool. That's why that song is so cool. Keanu, really? No Keanu? No thank you, is what I say. No thank you. That boat can sail on. I'll be on the shore dancing to some wonderful rhythm and blues music.
Yeah. You'll
Courtesy
be on
of the
the
Blues
shore
Brothers.
of an island with a talking, singing raptor dancing to the Blues Brothers.
Look, when I see Jason Patrick, I rush to the theater. Blues Brothers 2000 has a little kid blues brother disqualified on sight. You can't do it without Belushi. They tried. They failed miserably. If Jurassic Park 3 at its scant 90 minutes was just a raptor saying Alan for 90 minutes, maybe. But it's not. Other stuff's happening. It's terrible. And then there's just no ending. They're just like, here's credits because we ran out of time and budget. My movie has a town destroyed by a boat and has a guy yelling, 12 knots! 11 knots! He just keeps counting down, and it's thrilling as that boat gets closer to the shore. And then guess what? Payoff! It hits, and it takes out that freaking town. Speed 2 cruise control, delivering it all, and don't forget Willem Dafoe and his leeches. They're coming for you.
I don't want to counter out any of those arguments because I feel like they were pretty solid, but I just want to acknowledge the young lady who said Grease 2 and You're My People. That's it. I can't win this. I don't remember the movie. I don't think I saw it.
All right, take it to the crowd. So we have to vote for 3 people. So for Dan, we're going to see the white side. For Eric, we're going to see the red side.
Don't worry about it.
And for Roxy, just raise a hand.
That's Roth, not Roxy, but we're both.
Whoa, Roxy's in too.
My bad.
A vote for Roth is a vote for Roxy.
So for Roth, just raise a hand. And go ahead and vote.
You can't be stopped, Roth.
That's Speed 2 is what that
White
is.
was Dan, red was Emin, and it's Roth.
Oh, wow.
Got a lot of hands.
That's going to play back later.
There's a lot of hands.
There's a
I think you take it down to 50-50 and do,
So down to Dan and Roth.
yeah, I think so.
All right.
Oh,
Valiant
come
fight,
on.
Eric.
I suck.
Failed the leeches.
Notably.
You convinced me.
Well fought. Eric wins the pun award. All right. So for Roth, red. For Dan, white. Let's do it.
I'm seeing more white That is Roth. A vote for
No,
Roth.
it's Dan. Dan.
You almost floored it.
Dan.
Dan Murrell moving on to our final.
Hey!
Come on, gang.
Let's hear it for all our fighters.
I love you guys.
All right. Yep.
All right, here we go with this next one.
Fight number 4.
One of my favorite people in all the space. She's coming over from Showdown and Hyper RPG. It's FYFFE!
And you know him from the Nerdificent podcast with Danny Fernandez. And he's one of the funniest stand-up comedians and writers. And he insists he could beat up several wild animals in hand-to-hand combat, including a kangaroo. NWADAWE!
Yeah, I can up a gorilla straight up. Strength to strength, I'll beat the shit out of a gorilla. I promise you. Kangaroos too. I'll give them the hands. I don't give a damn. Like, what do? You got a pouch? I can you up. I promise you. You know, wolves, can't trust them. They can beat me. A wolf can beat me, but that's about it.
That's what we're fighting.
Yeah, we're not fighting about
I needed to clear the air on that though. Like I'll body slam a gorilla, strength to strength. If it had weights down to make it weaker, if me and the gorilla, same strength, I'll beat it up.
You can see
Great.
entire bit on animals.
It's not a bit, Hal. It's real life.
Hollywood,
Real
California.
life. Put that Piccolo outfit on a gorilla where he's like just as strong as me. He ain't got the hands like me. I'll beat up a gorilla.
All right, Roxy, what's our question?
All right, just so y'all know.
Are you ready for this? I want to keep fighting the animals.
Yeah.
Jimmy's argument basically is a
Look,
plausible
I just want to find an animal that can defeat me.
I'm going to keep moving on. Here we go.
Okay.
What is the worst video game movie? Starting. Ooh, a lot of bad ones.
There's a lot of bad ones.
Hold on. I'm gonna just pause it just real quick. Someone said too easy. What's the one you about to pick?
Yeah, because I had to think kind of hard about
Yeah,
what I was
me
gonna
too.
pick.
Someone's like, too
But
easy.
ultimately, I settled.
What did you pick as the worst?
Ultimately, I settled on Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Okay. Yo,
Hey, what do you got?
and with me, I went with Resident Evil, y'all. Oh, don't worry.
All right.
Follow me.
Okay, so here's the thing. If you want to talk about, let me take you back to the year 1995.
Okay.
We've all seen the original Mortal Kombat.
Uh-huh.
We think, okay, here's a video game movie that like draws from the spirit of the video game that we like, and it presents a story where we have characters that we care about, and there's like a power of friendship kind of thing going on. And then we cut to 1997, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And let's be real, all of us, most of us anyway, played Mortal Kombat 2 a lot more than we played the original Mortal Kombat. So we're like, yes, we're gonna get some dope characters from Mortal Kombat 2. We're gonna move on with the story. This is where things start to get real interesting with the Shadow Realm and everything. But they kind of sort of skip ahead to Mortal Kombat 2. And also, they've soap operaed the entire cast. So where we had a story that, yes, the original Mortal Kombat is absolutely cheesy. Is it a great film? No. But is it an incredibly enjoyable film that's still a blast to go back and watch? Absolutely. Mortal Kombat Annihilation is unwatchable. They just went, hey, remember all these people you knew and liked and you got attached to these actors? Well, we're just going to replace them mostly with new actors and not address the fact that none of them are being played by the same people. And we're going to move ahead from all the things you were excited to see and basically just have a lineup of glossing over throwing characters at you.
All right, I'm gonna start my fight off with an analogy. What would you rather have? Would you rather go on a date where since you swiped, you're like, oh, this person is bad, this is gonna be a bad date. You go on the date, it's bad, and you're like, oh, I kinda knew it. Or would you rather swipe on somebody and you're like, oh, this might be nice, and they stab you in the halfway through the date? Because that's what Resident Evil is. I knew Annihilation was gonna be bad. I was like, this movie trash as hell. The first movie was trash, but I like to see Liu Kang go da-da-da-da-da, so I'm gonna see it, you know? But Resident Evil tricked me. I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. We finally gonna have our first good movie. I went on, I logged off of my Cowboy Bebop RP forums, and I was like, I'm gonna go to my other forums and be like, Resident Evil's gonna be good. Then halfway through, they were like, hey, you know how we kind of been following the story? That, we gonna do some wild
But the thing is that as far as Resident Evil kind of following the story goes, Okay, yes, I agree. I'm a huge fan of the Resident Evil video game series, and as a fan of the video game series, I found the first film to be disappointing, but there was still a glimmer of hope in that they didn't really go off the storyline of the video game series until we got to Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil is not only not the worst video game movie, it's not the worst Resident Evil movie.
Well, no, but that's why it gets you. See, because bad is like, yeah, if I'm gonna eat a piece of dookie, I'm gonna like, oh, that's gonna taste bad.
Right.
I know it. But if I eat a hot dog and then there's dookie in the hot dog, I'm like, I thought it was gonna be a hot dog, and that is worse than eating dookie because I'm dumb. I'm dumb because I went.
All right, here are my final thoughts. Mortal Kombat should have, because the original Mortal Kombat was a fairly big success. It certainly has a lot of fans to this day. It's certainly a cult hit. However, Mortal Kombat Annihilation single-handedly killed that franchise. And in terms of the whole cast being replaced, may I remind you how many Highlander sequels Christopher Lambert came back to do? He even appeared in the television series. You know what it takes to get Christopher Lambert to say no to coming back? Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Final thought.
I know for a pure fact that Emma has not seen Mortal Kombat recently because she's saying it's good. It was bad. Raiden was white. My man says Chinese. What are you doing? Okay, but I'm going to tell you, when you see Mila Djokovic, you like, damn, this is about to be a tight movie. And it was like, psych, no, we're going to insert Nemesis at the end for some reason. And then that's like 3 Resident Evils down. What is that?
The development of the Nemesis program.
Time, all right. All right, let's see. Red for Iffy, white for Emma.
Y'all some haters.
Emma Fife takes it. Well fought. Iffy, I love that you made our sign language interpreter say stab you in the
Yeah, straight up.
Let's meet our next fighters.
Okay, he is coming from El Rey Nation. He's also one of the best photographers in the biz. It's Cameron Rice.
From Collider Live, please welcome the one and only Dorina. Here is the question.
These two are massive horror fans. So we asked them, what is the best horror movie of the 21st century?
All right,
They don't
Cameron.
All right, Cameron.
My movie features a gay icon
He does, yeah.
at the top of their game. It's directed by Jennifer Kent. It shows that kids suck, and sometimes you don't like your kid, and sometimes you want to kill them, and sometimes you'll make up a fairy tale creature in your mind. I'm talking about the Babadook.
All right, Dorina.
They don't like it. Well, I wanted to go with the most terrifying thing we've seen this century, which is the Cats trailer. But since that doesn't count, I've decided to go with one of the best zombie movies of not just the 21st century, but ever, and that would be 28 Days Later.
Right, fight it out, you guys.
I think 28 Days Later is a fantastic movie for the first 2/3.
Oh.
You say it's the best zombie movie, but zombie movies, I think the third act is where things should pick up. Dawn of the Dead, that's when they get into the mall. That's where things need to get crazy. The third act is not even zombies, it's Christopher Eccleston doing a I'm the Captain Now routine.
Fair enough.
Doesn't even feature zombies. The point of that movie is the monsters aren't the worst thing, it's other people, but the monsters are already other people. They're infected other people. The Babadook is about grief and understanding, and it's a thing that good horror should be. It's not just scary, it has a point. And sometimes that's about what the grieving process does to us, that sometimes it's hard, and sometimes it's not easy to get through things like loss and understanding, and sometimes guilt. And the thing about the Babadook is, even if you remove the creature, because some people get really hung up on, is the creature real? Is it there? It's a fairy tale. It's all a book. And like any good fairy tale, it's scary as hell.
Fair enough. Those were all really great points, Cameron. The whole grief thing, we need horror movies to deal with all the bad things that happens in life, so I get it. But, at one point, you actually get to hear this weird creature with a top hat that apparently that's scary, and then he just
You
goes...
were about to nominate Cats!
Babadook.
Lots of top hats
That's
in that
what's
movie.
scary about the movie, Babadook. That's what he does. That's it. That's the whole movie.
No, that is
You're
not
scared
it.
You're scared of a sword.
What?
Final thought, Cam.
Okay.
That is not all what he does. He also wears a bitchin' coat, and he knows how to apply makeup, and he knows how to contour. That is not easy.
Fair enough.
But the Babadook do it right.
Dorina, go ahead. Final thought.
Okay. 28 days later, you guys, we got fast zombies, basically the introduction of fast zombies. There's nothing scarier than crazy humans that have basically like a rage-induced virus, and humans and zombies combined are the scariest thing ever. We also wouldn't have The Walking Dead without 28 Days Later. That's the introduction to the 28 Days Later movie. Walking Dead basically ripped that off. So anything that comes after that, Danny Boyle, we thank you for bringing back the zombie genre and the horror genre. George Romero would be very proud. He doesn't care about the Babadook. I guarantee you.
He's dead.
Time. All right. Let's hear it for Bold. Roxy.
Put it to a vote. Everybody, white for Cam, red for Dorina. White for Cam, red for Dorina.
Ooh.
Y'all don't know shit about contouring. Let me tell you that right now. Lots of haters. I'm with Iffy.
Everyone's haters.
All right, let's meet our next combatants. This gentleman is the head writer of Screen Junkies and Honest Trailers. All around swell guy, Spencer Gilbert.
And coming over from Collider Heroes and comic book shopping, it's Koi Genre.
All right, make some noise if you were alive in the 1990s. Tonight, we ask, what is the best movie of the decade of the 90s? And let's start with Spence. What do you got?
Starship Troopers. Next question.
Oh, great answer.
All right.
Koi, what about you?
Not just of the 90s. There is a movie that deals with spirituality and religion, technology and futurism. The feeling of the oppressive nature of tech coming to take out all of this. It is a movie that is prophetic and timeless simultaneously. It is a movie that taught us how big trench coats can be while also inventing bullet time. It is a movie that taught us we all know Kung Fu. And that is The Matrix.
All right. Maybe they didn't know that Goodfellas came out in the 90s. Okay. Fight it out.
You, a simpleton. The Matrix is smart. Me, an intellectual. Starship Troopers is genius. This is a movie that is so bad, it's good, and also so good, it's great. It works on every possible level. It is an amazing movie about like if the CW shows were made by space Nazis, and it's also a parody of these kinds of movies.
The sound I just made was the sound the writers made when writing the script at each other.
Oh, you mean
and
Ed
that's what
Neumeyer
happened.
and Paul Verhoeven, who made RoboCop? You think there wasn't a little more going on beneath the surface of Starship Troopers?
I agree. RoboCop's a great movie. What happened?
RoboCop is about Reaganism. Starship Troopers is about the Middle East. We don't have time for this. We don't
Now,
have time for
the
this. Let me
point-
talk about The Matrix. I know everyone's dressed like they're going to a German sex club. Everyone's...
That's a benefit. You're welcome. Thank you, Wachowskis, for showing us that kink is awesome. Thank you
don't
for
kink shame
showing
me.
us.
I'm kinkier than you.
Starship
I like Starship Troopers because you see Jake Busey's penis, okay?
I'm
Who
going-
here doesn't want to see that?
I'm going to Burning Man in 4 weeks. You can all find me in the Orgy Dome on Monday at noon. All right, let's talk about it. Now, the thing
Where's
about the
the shower
Matrix.
scene in the Matrix?
Where's
Nowhere.
Now, the Matrix not only gives us Keanu, who's come back from Speed, who's come back from Bill and Ted, who's already been an icon twice over, and renews his iconhood as Neo. It gives us future technology we're still using today, and it teaches us about philosophy in a way that's digestible.
Oh yeah,
I
the
would
red
argue,
pill. We all know how good that turned out.
I would argue The Matrix is the first superhero movie. It gave us the way we have the world today digestible. Everyone went and saw The Matrix,
Exactly. It's
and
very
they started. Well, yeah, Starship Troopers isn't a movie. It's a series of scenes that make less sense the more you watch them.
No, it's about the horrors of war. Take away all the like hacker.
Final thought.
Okay, take away all the hacker trappings and the AAM screen names that they call each other by. And The Matrix is just about, oh, I'm a special boy, and I met a magic wizard named Morpheus. Oh, and he took me to a special cave, and I got a special power, and I found the princess, and with the power of love, Trinity brought me back to life. That could be any movie made in the last 50 years.
Even your Paul Verhoeven script analysis of The Matrix sounds way better than Starship Troopers. What you just described is fantastic. And also, The Matrix is so much more than that. It gives us Tao's of Buddhism. It gives us concepts that are broader that we still rediscover. And it is a movie that's 20 years old. Think about that. This movie is 20 years old.
Starship Troopers is 23 years old.
And it looks like it. 20 years old, and The
No, it
Matrix
doesn't.
still looks so good. And
How dare you.
it is a movie with ethics and morals and heart. Starship Troopers has a runtime.
Time! All right. Great collision right there. Let's
Only one right answer.
cast our votes. Let's go red for Spence, red pill for Spencer. No. Red for Spencer, white for Coy. Coy's Andro in the Matrix.
The Keanu Sans.
All right. Wow. So now it's time to decide who moves on to the finals. Roxy, would you please pass out this hat for another blind fight? Blind fight. Blind fight.
How you couldn't buy like a bucket for Comic-Con? You're like, I'm still gonna use my hat. Like that's the move. Like we still gotta do the hat, baby. That's Kyle.
By the way, tomorrow, late night, Hall H, FYFFE will be fighting a mountain lion.
Look.
That's what happens when the studios don't show up.
Look, that's what happens.
The question, who should play Norman Osborn to Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the MCU? All right.
Obviously, the answer is John Travolta.
Dorina, what do you have?
I have the great Ian McShane. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I have an answer I've actually said before, and it's perfect. I'd like to get jiggy with Norman Osborn, Will Smith.
Fight it out.
All right.
Will Smith is known for being a charming, charismatic, great guy. You know what Norman Osborn did? He freaking took over the government because people thought he was great, and then he twisted on their heads. Will Smith's probably terrifying, and we get to see that side of him. We've only seen Dark Will Smith once, and M. Night Shyamalan happened at us. We need an opportunity to see Will Smith in his proper way, see the range of Will Smith, and how dope would the theme song be?
See, Coy, Will Smith is pretty cool, but how versatile is he? Because,
Exactly.
see, you guys seen Deadwood, right? Ian McShane is a badass. I hope I can say that. Sorry, Billy, if you have to edit that out.
I talked about an orgy dome. I'm sorry.
Okay, good. Additionally, he can basically act with any of our other great actors, such as Keanu and John Wick. He is a great leading actor and a great supporting actor as well. And he's the most evil out of the three options. So just saying, he'd be great.
Right, which is good, except for going back to Coy's point, the whole idea that Norman Osborn needs to be somebody that is kind of charming and you wouldn't necessarily suspect. So you combine the best of both worlds in John Travolta, in somebody that is very diverse, has had a wide range of roles. I mean, from things like Saturday Night Fever and Grease to, you know, his turn against Nicolas Cage and Face Off. John Travolta is a true icon, and you want somebody to go up against Tom Holland, who you're immediately going to recognize as somebody somebody is an authority figure, somebody that could be a dad, to somebody that's, you know, his best friend. And John Travolta can really embody all of those things. Again, you have a very versatile actor who you don't necessarily suspect is going to be a bad guy right off the bat, but he's got a darkness to him. You can see it in him.
I agree with all of her points except for that she's saying John Travolta's those things. So the issue really is that we've had one man out of these three that's carried decades worth of amazing movies, that has actually been an opening movie star, that is coming back with Gemini Man, that is coming back to the frickin' awesomeness that is Will Smith. And I would actually totally love to see Tom Holland and Will Smith have a banter off. Plus, for decades, Will Smith has been wanting to show this darker side and wanting to envelop, and I would definitely follow Will Smith for a 6-movie run as we get to Dark
wanting
Avengers.
to show that darker side, but I think the reason we've only seen Will Smith in one darker kind of role is because he doesn't do it particularly well. He's not very convincing. I'm not gonna buy Will Smith as being a bad guy. He's basically like, I don't know, like everyone's fun uncle.
But what is he gonna do against Spider-Man? Dance?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, this is not Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, okay?
When's the last time we saw John Travolta outside of a DVD bin at Walmart?
No.
And we've got a way better Western actor in Wild Wild West.
Do you really think Will Smith can play a villain? Come on.
Let's start with Emma, and we'll go down the line, Dorina, and then Coy.
In Norman Osborn, you want somebody that is going to be your most sort of run-of-the-mill, seems like he's a good guy, businessman, is your dad, is your friend, but secretly has a darkness to him. And I think that John Travolta, of all three of these actors, is the one that best embodies that kind of versatility and also sense of presence.
Ian McShane is the only scary actor out of the three. So you guys know who you should pick.
If he's always scary, it doesn't work as Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn needs to be not a parent to Harry and be paternal to Peter at first. There needs to be a betrayal. There needs to be a switch. He needs to be a leader of men that we feel betrayed by. None of these other actors will lead anything except an unemployment line. Will Smith is the perfect man for this job, and he's been made for it from the beginning, and I think it's overdue.
All right, time. Okay, so all of those actors and the arguments are wickedly talented, but let's now only vote for the one you feel prevailed. So for Coy, let's go red. Dorina, white, and for Emma, raise a hand.
Just one hand.
Oh, thank God.
Man, some of y'all got to rewatch Get Shorty.
Oh.
Red was Coy. Coy takes it with Will Smith.
Big Willie style Norman Osborn, that's right.
I do look forward to Will Smith's rap recap of what happened in the entire film, so you don't have to pay attention that closely.
What rhymes with Osborn? We have to find out.
All right, so Coy will be facing Dan in the finals, but we have something special happening right now.
Oh.
Our friend Joe Starr.
Sorry, if you guys can clear the stage.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
Bye.
Yep.
Everybody, come on down.
Sorry, we'll get to the final in a second. Some big news actually just broke at Comic-Con, and we're going to break it here for you guys right now. And as a lot of you know, there was only one scoopster on YouTube that is bold enough, smart enough, sociopathic enough, and loud enough to break scoops of this level. Ladies and gentlemen, Scoops McGee. Hey, Scoops! Hello, Comic-Con!
Scoops ahoy! I will see you in court. What's up, Joe?
Hi.
Who's confused?
Me.
I'm sorry I've been away so long, Joe. I've been working on my spin-off YouTube channel, Scoops Universe. It's going terribly.
This is the exact right enough time to let an inside joke linger before we brought it back.
Let's do it. It's been 2 years, baby, and no one remembers it, but we're doing it. I'm back, and I'm anxious to serve up a bunch of new scoops, mainly because my cat is wearing my ankle monitor, and I'm worried the police will discover my ruse soon. Am I right? So let's get started. Are you ready for your first scoop? Are you ready for your first scoop? All right. Brand Clan Pan's fan plan. This is fresh off the presses. Former fans of new King of Westeros, Bran Stark, were stymied earlier tonight when their attempts to show their displeasure at the new king were discovered and stopped by his on-screen siblings, Sophie Turner and Maisie Williams. Word has it that some fans plan to pelt actor Isaac Hempstead Wright with dead ravens, with chants including, "Warg into this, not my king," and "Release the Snyder Cut." Luckily, eagle-eyed Arya and Sansa spotted the troublemakers and pointed them out to fellow cast member John Bradley, a.k.a. Samwell Tarly, who whisked the disgruntled fans out back and beat them until they were unrecognizable. I heard they looked Samwell gnarly.
I'm so mad at you.
The rest of the panel proceeded smoothly, save for small pockets of fans who started other chants, including "Remake Season 8, Daenerys is my queen, and release the Snyder Cut." What'd you think, Joe?
I can't wait for the Snyder Cut.
All right. Are you ready for another one?
I'm more than ready.
Bat Pat falls flat. My sources deep inside Robert Pattinson's yoga studio's Taubin tell me that things have gotten off to a rocky start for the new Dark Knight. Ever the method actor, Pattinson took to the streets in a homemade costume to fight crime, to get inside the headspace of the Cape Crusader, only to run into an equally in-character Joaquin Phoenix. Who's been roaming the same streets for weeks in an attempt to shed his role as the Batman's arch nemesis, the Joker. In a fight that one bystander called low on skill and strangely erotic, Phoenix's clown prince of crime easily beat Pattinson's Batman, beating him Samwell gnarly. Insiders now say Pattinson's confidence is shaken, and he's now scouring Los Angeles to pick a fight with Jared Leto's Joker to get his confidence back. I've got one more if you want it.
I can take it.
Do you want it?
Yeah.
All right. Remake makes slate quake. Don't blame the messenger. This scoop comes deep from a source inside Disneyland's neighboring restaurant, Earl of Sandwich. If you're ever in Anaheim, it's right next door. Look it up. This source tells me that at the stroke of midnight on the last summer solstice, a conference call was held deep inside a bunker built in the smuggling compartment of the Millennium Falcon replica at Galaxy's Edge. On this phone call were Disney chairman Bob Iger, Fox honcho Rupert Murdoch, former President Jimmy Carter, Val Kilmer, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.'s Ming Na. The subject, a secret, long-awaited start to the remake of The Last Jedi that fans have been demanding since director Ruan Johnson's film hit theaters almost 2 years ago. Ruan Johnson, more like Ryan Johnson, am I right?
We're making the ASL guy translate all of this.
The main obstacle to this secret plan is Disney's already full film slate, which now includes a Rocket Raccoon spin-off film, a slate of hand-drawn animated versions of Pixar movies, and a live-action remake of Pocahontas starring Scarlett Johansson. I think she's good for the role.
Is she playing the tree or the lead?
Both. Fans of plans to remake the movie have already started to gather at Disney HQ in Burbank, starting chants like "Make Luke Great Again," "Snoke is my Emperor," and "Release the Snyder Cut." That's all the show I got, Joe. I gotta go start my litigation. I'm confiscating the Scoops Ahoy gear. Thanks, everybody. The Duffer Brothers stole that from me at a party 10 years ago. Bye.
Scoops McGee, ladies and gentlemen.
bring Hal and Roxy back up here with a lot of love, you guys.
All right, y'all. We have seen some major movie fighting. We've gotten some pretty cool Comic-Con exclusives just now. And now, it's time for the final, one-on-one. I haven't seen Dan Murrell in a while. We had Scoops McCoy up here, but Scoops McGee. But let's bring back to the stage Dan Murrell. And Coy Jandreau.
The olden days is back.
All right. Here we have Dan and Coy throwing down for the title of Comic-Con 2019 Movie Fights Champion. What is the question?
I'm already regretting asking this. Should they release the Snyder Cut? Dan?
Scoops told me he did not plan this. I say
Sophie's choice.
I say yes.
And Coy okay, Dan says yes, Coy says no.
This is
Fight
forever.
now.
All right, Internet. I'm sorry in advance, and YouTube, please just forgive me. The Snyder Cut represents an overabundance of expectation. It represents a lot of people in the position of not being in a studio set up to do things that'll irreparably ruin filmmaking. We don't want to be in a position where someone makes a movie and then for the next 5 years people loudly say, hey, let's do the movie better if they already made the movie. The Snyder Cut exists in a form, but do you really want to have a movie released that doesn't have what you've imagined for 5 years? The Snyder Cut right now exists in all of our minds beautifully and perfect, and I love Zack Snyder's vision. I love the universe Zack Snyder was making. I love 300 and Man of Steel and the imagery and the way he shoots. I don't want to see a movie that doesn't have the technical perfection that Zack Snyder would demand, because that's not Zack Snyder's movie. The Snyder Cut can't exist in the way it should, and therefore shouldn't.
Dan.
I don't want to hear about it anymore. This has gone on way longer than I think any of us thought it would. And at this point, why not? Let's get Schrodinger's Snyder's Cut out of the box, and let's just get it out there. Because you know what? I was annoyed by it at first, but I'm pretty damn curious at this point now. 3.5 hours, 4 hours. I don't want to be talking about this in 20 years. I don't want people to have to buy billboards for like the next decade, and like at every 10 years, it's like the anniversary of not releasing the Snyder Cut. If it's so great, let's see it. Let's see it, Coy.
Zack Snyder he needs to move on to movies that he wants to make. I think Zack Snyder has earned the right to go make films that he has a heart for. I think Zack Snyder should be able to let it go, and I don't think releasing it is that, because then all the people that didn't get the movie they expected will still complain. IMDb had to get rid of its forums because of people. We don't need to give them the knowledge that they demanded a movie and had it researched. Zombies don't exist for a reason. This would be the zombification, the ugly, decayed husk of what the Snyder Cut could have been. It's dead, bury it.
Dan, please turn this into your final thought.
My final thought. Okay, I will agree with you, Coy. Zack Snyder should have the license to move on. He will never be able to do that if no one ever sees the Snyder Cut. Zack Snyder will be 90 years old in a retirement home, staring at a lovely vista, and someone will roll their chair next to his and lean up closely and say, so how was that Flash Irish accent scene? Was it green screen done? How were the effects? How long is it? What, do you have a copy? Okay, so we need to see it. We need to see it. In the mystery, in the discussion, let people see it.
Same picturesque scenario. Zack Snyder, 80, sitting there. Guy rolls up. Hey, so the Snyder Cut they released, was that actually your cut? Because I didn't feel like that was the exact thing that, would you have really done that? I feel like some tampering. I love Zack Snyder. Let him be.
All right. Dan had yes. Coy had no. Red for Dan, white for Coy.
Oh, my.
Coy with the white. Thank you.
Coy, you are our Comic-Con 2019 Movie Fights champion. Thank you for watching Comic-Con Movie Fights. Hoot, hoot, #OwlNation.
And to present the award to him, it is longtime friend of the show, Roger Barr.